Welcome back home, LLGs. Thank you so much for tuning in to The Fence. Whoa, hold on a second. Are we getting some crazy echo? Hold on a second. Are we getting some crazy echo? Hold on a second. Oh, no. Well, yes, but I know what it is. Well, yes, but I know what it is. It's me. I had me up on Twitch. Because I was working on something. Sorry about that. But it's fixed now. I heard it on like on my monitor earlier, and I was like, maybe I routed audio in some weird way, but I just got done testing all this. There's no way. It's just me doing something silly. But hey, here we are. It's fixed. Sorry about that echo, friends. Welcome back. Hope you're all having a lovely day today, staying cool in this crazy heat wave that is the tail end of our summer. How are you guys doing? My name's Chris. You can call me Chris or Fence. I am the peer support streamer, and this is your place to share your story and be part of ours. So thank you so much for tuning in today. We got a new question of the day for you up here in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. You can check it out. Today's question is, what kind of person do you want to be and why? Also, if you already are who you want to be, what's one piece of advice that you could share to the rest of us who are looking to try to become who we want to be? Feel free to share your thoughts today and we will talk about this. DigiDC, what's going on, man? Welcome back home. Jen and Jenny, you're all here too, supporting the Fence. Welcome back. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is it's a Blueberry. It's a blue microphone. And I believe it's like a studio vocal microphone for like recording vocals for music and stuff. It's Jen's microphone actually, and I've never used it until last stream, and I really liked the sound of it. She gave me permission. I swear I'm not stealing this. But it's pretty cool. And then I've also done some adjustments to like just some of the microphone plugins that I'm using in EQ and stuff like that too. So I worked on that over the week so that we could balance some things out. Thank you very much, Jen. I appreciate having your blessing for this microphone. It is wonderful. I'm a big fan of it. But yeah, if because I did some adjustments to the audio for this stream, anybody out there who notices anything that's kind of wonky, let me know, and I'll make some adjustments. That way we can get it cleared up. But it should be pretty straightforward today. Hopefully the quality is just better. If the music in the background is a little bit too loud or too quiet, let me know too. We can adjust that. I think I got it to where it was looking and sounding pretty good. But I know it depends on if you're listening through speakers or you're listening through headphones. I know some people like to enjoy the show just audibly because they're here for the conversation and to hear the topics of discussion and things like that. So that might be a different kind of experience than if you're at home watching this like on your phone or your television or in your headphones, right? But anyway, we are flexible around here, so just let me know. Jen says it sounds good. Awesome. Super good even. Super good is quite a statement. Super good saves people. Super good can save lives. It flies around with the cape. It's pretty much the embodiment of all superheroes. Like all superheroes have to channel some super good into them, right? So that's a pretty big thing you just said there. All right. Audio's doing good. I'm happy about that. Had a good show for you guys today. We're going to be playing some more Nier Replicant as we discuss this question of the day. And of course, everybody is invited to share their lives, share their stories with us. Let us know what's going on. We talk about a lot of mental health things during this show. So if that appeals to you, hang out with us, get to know us. Let us get to know you. Share your story, be part of ours is what we're all about here. And what that means is you're absolutely allowed to talk about what you're going through, how your day has been, what you're feeling, what kind of things are going on in your mind. I think that when we open up and share those things with one another, it not only opens the door to other people being able to share those things too, but it allows us to connect with each other in a very human, very real way that's not so superficial, you know? We all have small talk, right? We all talk about what's happening at work, or we all talk about this thing that we saw on TV. But a lot of times we tend to avoid talking about what makes us feel, you know? It's easy to be like, we watched this show and it was really cool. It's harder to say, we watched this show and there was this scene that like this happened and it made me feel this because of, you know, and to go into that. That latter example is a lot of what we like to talk about here. And the games that we choose to play on stream too are often tailored to that experience so that we can understand ourselves and understand our world a little bit better through them. Lost, what's going on, man? Welcome back. Was there a CJ here? I didn't see him. Oh my God, there he is. I'm so sorry. I didn't greet you earlier. What's up, man? It's great to see you here. I had that feedback loop that happened and it threw me all off. Forgive me, my friends. I could also be a little bit blind. Maybe. Who am I? Who are you? Reggie, what's up, man? How you doing? You said hola, and I almost said aloha, which is something else entirely. My mom moved to Hawaii, so I hear aloha a lot whenever I end up talking to her. So it's just kind of on the brain. Speaking of, we're going on a trip to Hawaii to visit her later on this year, which I'm super excited about. We've been trying to do this for like, oh man, almost 2 years now. I guess that this Christmas it will be 2 years. Because when she moved out there, we're like, oh yeah, we totally have to go visit, of course. It's gonna be awesome. We made this plan for a trip to go in December of 2019, I think it was. No, 2020. We started talking about it, I think, at the end of 2019. But anyway, then we all know what happened in 2020. Nobody was flying anywhere. So, of course, that trip got canceled. But we're going to try to make up for it this year. But then, I don't know, things are getting a little crazy right now, too. So we'll see if we're even able to still do that. But that's the plan. We'll see what happens. CJ answers the question of the day, saying, lately, I've actually been thinking of this very thing. For a long time, I've wanted to be the sort of person who can lift someone else up from their lower depths, but got super frustrated with myself because I never really know what to say. Although just last night, I was able to encourage a friend as they were on the brink of tears and help them come back around to a better frame of mind. And that made me feel super happy too. That's awesome. That is so cool. Thank you for your response. I think that, you know, when you want to be a type of person who can be there for other people, there's this interesting thing that happens where sometimes our self-esteem and self-worth can be impacted by our ability to do that. And I don't think that any one of us are super good at being there for everybody in every circumstance, because there are things that we don't really know much about, right? There are things that people can go through that we're like, I haven't been through that. I don't know how to help you. I so badly want to, right? But I have no idea how to begin. And I think sometimes, especially whenever you're an empathic person, which it sounds like CJ is, we tend to take that on as a reflection of our worth, you know? If I'm not able to be there for this person that I care about, who cares if I desire to or I want to? The fact that I can't makes me feel bad about myself. And then we have a harder time being there for people because then we feel bad about ourselves, right? Now we got to take care of ourselves, figure out how to boost ourselves back up. It can turn into this complicated thing. And I think that, this is something that I can, share my insight on, because this is kind of what I do all the time, right? Like it's my job, literally, and then it's what we do here on stream too. There's a lot of times you guys bring something up to me that I'm like, wow, that is a whole lot that's going on, and I don't know much about that. And I will also take it upon myself, like, I need to have an answer, and if I don't, then I'm letting this person down. You guys can answer this for me. Have any of you ever felt like I've let you down whenever you've brought something up to me and I've responded to it and maybe haven't known exactly what to do to make it better or to understand what's going on? Have you ever felt like I am dropping the ball or making even things worse for you? I like to think no. And that's not just because it makes me feel better, but I think that if I did, you guys would have expressed that to me. And Lost, thank you for that validation. I appreciate that. I have always worried about that. Yet, not once has anyone ever come up to me and told me, you made this so much worse, or you let me down. Yet that is the thing that I have always been afraid of. And in my personal life, I can't even remember a time that a friend has come up to me and been like, dude, you suck because you were not able to give me what I needed in that moment. And that's not because I was always able to provide. That's just because they didn't expect me to be able to perform some sort of miracle. And I think in our minds, we expect ourselves to be able to perform that miracle for the people that we're trying to support. And I tell you guys, there are some situations where you're able to do that, and that's amazing. It's miraculous. But most of the time, if you're just there, that's enough. Someone can express that to you and talk to you about that and let you know how they're feeling and what they're going through. And guess what? Because you were there to hear them out, they weren't alone. And that was something you did just by being there and paying attention to what they were experiencing and letting them talk to you. That in and of itself is helpful. No matter whether you have the right kind of advice or not, it makes a difference. In those times where we do have the right kind of advice, those are really rewarding times. When we support people, I think a lot of times it's an action that comes without a lot of fanfare. And so what I mean by that is when you're doing it right, it's not even going to be pointed out to you that you're doing it right. You just have to trust that you are. And so because of that, though, we can feel like we might not be doing it right. We get worried about that. If you guys are out there being there for people, you're doing it right. Trust that. Because it's true. It's a choice that you don't have to make. So the fact that you choose to be there for somebody makes all the difference. If you're doing that, be proud of yourselves and feel good about the fact that you're there. But at the same time, I do understand feeling a little bit bad whenever you're not able to say or do the right thing for a person. And that's a challenge. But I think some acceptance that those situations are going to happen and we're going to encounter those. Accepting that and being okay with it is a big part of us being able to practice self-care as a person who wants to provide care for others in some capacity. Awesome. Lost, thank you so much for copying the answers over to the Keepers channel. These are HyperX clouds. I don't know if they're the Cloud 2s. They might be. Jen would be able to answer that better. This is another piece of gear that I'm borrowing from Jen. They're here in the office, in the studio, and we haven't been using them, so I just decided to throw them on. We got a Gillionaire. All right, Jenny, thank you. Thank you. I'm going to activate that right now. Everybody's going to be earning double Gil just from hanging out here in the channel today. And if you participate in summons, then your rewards will also be doubled. That's pretty cool. All right, there we go. Sweet. Thank you so much for that, Gillionaire. I appreciate that. Yeah, these HyperXs are sweet, man, and they're super comfortable. I could probably wear these for hours, honestly. When I was doing all that audio testing this week, these are what I was wearing to do it, and they didn't become uncomfortable even one bit. At the end of like 8 hours of testing, it was cool. I'm gonna back up and check out some other people's responses here that I may have missed. So Lost answered the question of the day saying, for me, I want to be strong mentally, physically. I want to support my family and those I care about. I want to protect them, provide for them, and have the skills and strength and willpower to be independent in as many ways and meanings as possible. These are some huge goals that you're striving for here, and they're all very healthy. I'm going to continue on here. I don't want power, says Lost, or money in and of themselves. I want the ability and options to never let myself or others down when I'm needed. Awesome, man. I love it. So, I mean, to quantify all of this, I would say that you want to be a decent, caring human being. You want to be a person who, like through your life, you try to benefit those around you while at the same time benefiting yourself, and understanding that by benefiting yourself, you are able to better benefit those around you too. That's awesome. So this is the kind of person that you want to be. And what is it about being this kind of person, the supportive kind of person, the person who other people around them can rely on, that is so appealing to you, if I may ask? Thank you for your response, man. Jenny answered the question of the day saying, I'll make this pretty quick because I need to sleep. And yes, I'm now the person. Here we go. I'll make this pretty quick because I need to sleep. Yes, I'm now the person I've wanted to be for over a decade now. And my advice is simple. Don't give up. Excellent advice. Excellent advice. I love so much that you're the person who you want to be, Jenny. And I think that is great advice. As simple as it is, I think that, it's one of the most important pieces of advice a person could give to another. It's so easy to get to that point where we want to give up, right? We try and try and try, and sometimes we fail a lot in a row, or we don't make the progress that we're looking to make, and it makes us want to give up. Don't give up. You give up, you'll never get to where you want to get to. You keep trying, you will eventually. You just have to keep trying. Don't give up. Thank you, Jenny. I appreciate that. I want to piggyback off of this story, or this response, with the story that I heard during our attendance of Music Fest yesterday. We were watching this band play, and in the middle of his set, like, he sang a lot of songs about, like, emotions and feeling the world around him, and carrying weight on your shoulders, proverbially, and finding your own strength apart. And in the middle of his set, he stopped to tell a story about how he was suicidal for a while, and how he had made the decision. He's like, I want to kill myself. And, he tried to, and he didn't succeed, thankfully. But, there was something that stopped him, where he was looking around at everybody else, and he said that he saw that, even though his world was dark, there were people around him. There were other people in life that had happiness. They didn't think that the world was such a dark place, despite the fact that he did. And it was so dark to him that he didn't want to keep trying anymore. And he made a decision that he wanted to find what those people had found, because if they found it, then he could find it too. He just had to not give up. And he said that in his journey, he got to a point where he doesn't want to kill himself anymore. He doesn't feel suicidal anymore. And he is more thankful than ever that he decided to stick around and keep trying, because he never would have been able to experience what he has experienced now and become the person that he wants to be now. And it's all because he didn't give up. And so when Jenny says, don't give up, sometimes it really is that simple. If you don't give up, does that mean that it's going to be easy? No. If you don't give up, does that mean you're going to have the answer right in front of you? No. But if you don't give up, you will find that answer. Just keep trying, keep pushing forward, and trust that you're going to get to where you're trying to go. Just don't give up, guys. Seth Witcher. Yes. They put on a really good show. Their music was awesome. They did a lot of good covers too. Very fun, very good energy. Yeah, definitely check them out. He's on Instagram and he had like a Twitter and Facebook and stuff too, didn't he? I guess their group, like their band, doesn't have a name yet. But they play a lot of music and I guess they're pretty active. So it's cool. They're playing Music Fest tonight too. Which I thought that was cool, just doing it twice. Right on. He had such a good message, man. Such a positive guy. And it wasn't that he was positive just because he was inherently positive. He had to go through some stuff to end up being that positive. Toot-toot-oo. How's it going, Vashi? Welcome back. But yeah, it's amazing. I think that a lot of times when we see people who are really positive or are preaching a good message, we think that's just how they are. That's just who they are. But I think the majority of the time, those people have gone through something probably pretty heavy. And because they made it out the other side, that's what made them want to be that kind of light to people around them. I can tell you that in my personal experience, it's very true, because I had been in my own way in that place that Seth was at. And I had to overcome those things too to get to where I am now. And where I am now is the best. I love where I am now. I am the person I want to be. And I still want to keep improving and growing as much as I can. That doesn't mean I'll ever stop doing that, but I'm satisfied with who I am. And there was a handful of years ago where I really wasn't, Some of you guys have been here with me through those times of my life too. And, I had talked about them here and there. I used to make YouTube videos about them, actually, some of which were pretty heavy. And I got through it. I got here. Now, during that time, I was always trying to do this too and try to still be that light and help people out. But it was much harder back then. And I wasn't as good at caring for myself as I am now. And I was still on my journey. I was still going through my journey, trying to figure out how to get that light that people around me seem to have. Trying to figure out that the world wasn't as dark as I saw it. And I did, because I didn't give up, even though I got close to a couple times. And I tell you what, man, I'm so glad that I didn't. And yeah. Just don't give up, guys. Keep trying. You'll get there. Digi, thank you for the validation earlier too, man. I really appreciate that very, very much. So, of course, we're already behind on chat a little bit. I'm going to activate this slow mode just for a moment. And then give me a chance to catch up, and then we'll turn the chat back to normal. Let's see, Jenny said, well, once, but that was more on me because getting reassured by words very rarely ever works for me. Oh, okay, and this is in response to if I had ever made someone feel worse whenever I wasn't able to, say the right thing. So you're saying that was more on you because getting reassured by words very rarely ever works for you? Okay. So it wasn't so much that I didn't have the right thing to say, it was just that, that wouldn't have been the proper way to support you through what you were going through anyway. Okay, I understand what you're saying. Anxiety is tough when I've got a bad thought stuck in my head. Yeah, I hear that. I definitely understand how that happens. Lost, you ain't kidding, man. Stream Deck's nice. I love being able to just hit a button and make something work. It is pretty great. Dude, Lost, you're using the same headset too? Cool, man. Yeah, it's comfy, huh? Oh no, CJ lost his. That sucks, dude. You have to pick up another one. Reggie answered the question of the day earlier saying, to be honest, I'm not sure, but I think a lot about things at different points in my life and think, dang, was that really me? And compared to now, it's a night and day change. I don't think I'll personally ever be the me that I want to be, because I always feel that there's parts of me that could be better. Like, I still think I tend to get really emotional and upset when people betray my trust and friendship, and I want to just learn to not get so heated. Reggie, thank you so much for sharing, man. And you have changed and grown a lot since I've known you, which is only a small fraction of your life. So I can definitely attest to what you're saying here. One thing I want to point out, and this is something I kind of alluded to earlier in the discussion, is that just because you think there's always going to be parts of you that you could make better and improve upon, that doesn't mean that you're not the person that you want to be, right? There's always going to be traits that you can improve. There's always going to be things that you want to do better. And I think part of life is that continuous progression, right? It's satisfying and fulfilling to continually improve upon ourselves and work ourselves upwards in our lives. And I was trying to say that a little bit earlier whenever I was talking about how I am the kind of person that I want to be. And so if I could explain that a little bit, like, I would love to handle my depression better, right? I would love to not feel crippled by it at times. I would love to handle anxiety better. I would love to better be able to communicate what I'm feeling in the moment that I'm feeling it, instead of having to wait until later, so that I can express to the people around me who care about me what's actually going on right now. I would love to be able to do those things and several other things and better. But I am not dissatisfied with who I am, because the character that I have and the person that I'm trying to be is a person who I feel like I am being. I am that person. I am a person who is trying to give back to my community in a way. I am the person who is trying to give other people a voice. I am the person who cares about how people feel. And I am the person who does his best at whatever he's trying to do. Like, I'm those things. And does that mean that I am flawless? Absolutely not. But I am, like, if I think about the type of person that I want to see when I look in the mirror, it's not about how proficient I am at things so much as it is about, am I on the path that I want to be on? Am I going towards the things that I think are important in life and that I think are important for me to pursue? And what that says about me. If those are things that I'm like, yes, I like that, then I am the person that I want to be. And I take this with a grain of salt, because everybody has a different perception and feeling of who they are. And there's different criteria, I think, that come into play when you answer the question, am I who I want to be? My criteria might not be your criteria, is basically what I'm saying. But I am also saying that you can have things that you want to work on and want to improve on and still be the person that you want to be. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. And I say that because I think when we believe that they are mutually exclusive, like, we think we're still down on ourselves because we don't recognize that maybe we're actually a decent person. And because we're so focused on trying to get better all the time, we're like, we can't be satisfied with who we are. And that can be especially dangerous when you're the type of person who, no matter what kind of progress you make, you need to make another step forward. It's so important to take a breath and stop for a moment and appreciate the progress you've made. Because most of the time, we've made progress that's far greater than what we recognize, because we're so focused on taking that next step. How many of you guys in the chat work towards something, accomplish that something, and then immediately move on to the next thing? I bet most of you, right? I bet a lot of people do it. I do it all the time. It's an active thing I have to do. I have to consciously make that decision to be like, I did this. How am I going to celebrate it? And then try to celebrate it. It's super important. Because otherwise, we're always going to feel like we're not doing good enough, right? At least the tendency becomes greater that we feel that way. But yeah. If you guys are just coming in right now, the topic of discussion is in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. We're talking about the question of the day, which is, what kind of person do you want to be and why? And if you're already a person who has become who they want to be, what's one piece of advice that you can offer to the rest of us here who are working on that? We would appreciate your feedback. How did you get there? What do you think is important in that journey? Mashi gave up on ever getting back to a normal sleep schedule. You don't have to do that, man. You don't have to give up on that. You can keep trying. Lost, you were saying, it's hard to say. I just feel that family is the most important part of life. Okay, so continuing on to, a question I was asking about his response to the QOD. He feels that family is the most important part of life and that their good and benefit comes above that of everything else. To achieve that without hurting others, it's important to be strong and independent in mind and body. Knowledge is power, practice makes perfect. I will augment the last thing you said there with practice makes better. Practice makes better. I think perfection is a pipe dream, but that's my personal thoughts because, there's always going to be something better, right? We strive for perfection so often that we kind of drive ourselves nuts over it because it's such a hard thing to achieve. Some might say it's impossible to achieve. Some, not all. That's the only thing I wanted to add there. Otherwise, I really appreciate your response. That is your truth. That is your truth. That for you, family is the most important thing in life. And I think that family is a tremendously important thing for a lot of us. Depending on where we come from, that may resonate more or less with folks. But it's a respectable trait to have. And I appreciate that about you. Masha, you just woke up from your nap, man. Well, welcome back to the world. Hope you're feeling better, dude. You use horse balsam. What is that? For your shoulder? How does that work? Oh man, Panda, how are you doing? Welcome to the fence. It's good to see you today. Satisfied. I'm never satisfied with myself, but I'm proud of any progress. It's okay to be satisfied. Satisfied doesn't mean complacency, right? It doesn't mean, all right, I'm done. It can just mean I did the thing that I wanted to do, and I'm happy with myself about that. But maybe that's just, I'm just spouting semantics right now. Maybe that's what you're saying. Fully agree, but it's a common phrase that people know. Yeah, I know. I am doing the semantics thing. Perfection's an illusion that exists only in the mind, but improvement is usually possible, says Lost, no matter how small. But it has to be weighed against any damage to others that improvement may cause. Right. Right, there's always consequences for whatever we do, good or bad. It's got tons of chili in it, Mashi. Says Mashi, but it's not safe to eat. You can't eat it? There's chili in it, but you can't eat it? Do you understand the gravity of what you're saying to me right now? There's chili in it, but you cannot eat it? That's so upsetting. I want to eat all of it. Oh, sorry to hear about your tummy ache, man. I hope you feel better. Reggie says, I feel like when when it's questions of the days, I could write 4 paragraphs if given the chance. That's awesome. Honestly, you always have some really long and insightful responses to the question of the day, which are great. It's not just great for me, it's great for you, it's great for a lot of other people here because we get to talk about it and then hear some insight from you in your experience, which is uniquely your own. It's an experience that nobody else has. So thank you for offering that up to us and letting us learn through you. It's great. I mean, that's what they're there for. These questions of the day they're there so that we can think about some things and learn from one another and maybe give ourselves some extra attention. Because I tell you, when I'm sitting here writing some of these, I haven't necessarily been thinking about them all the time. It just I'm like, what do I want to talk about? What am I thinking about? And I'll kind of sit here and be like, what have I been going through lately? Or what's something that stood out to me that I saw when I was out and about? What was someone else going through? And what did that make me think? And then I'll be like, oh man, this would be a cool thing to talk about. And I'd formulate it into a question, and then boom, here we go. But it was something that I wasn't thinking about before trying to come up with the question. And so then I walk away from it also having learned something about myself, or at the very least somebody else, which is great. I don't think we all get a lot of opportunities to do that. So if you want to write paragraphs, guys, feel free right away. All right. Reggie had continued on the question of the day response saying, to be honest, I am the person I want to be because at least I can see where as a person I struggle at, and I can realize this is a part of me that's struggling. And I have matured enough to a point where I am proud of it. Because if I was still as immature as I was when we had our fight, I don't think I would have grown past my petty anger and feeling like I was in the right. So, those of you guys who don't know, this comes up every once in a while, but Reggie and I had an, I don't know if I want to call it a fight or altercation, but we did have, a conflict between the two of us where we weren't seeing eye to eye some years ago. And, so it was a frustrating experience on both sides. Both of us were able to grow through it and learn from each other because I think that both of us were expressing what our truth was at that time, at that period in our journey. And the fact that we didn't stop there is very important because those things happen to all of us at points in our lives. Reggie, I think it whenever you bring it up, it doesn't, like, in my day-to-day, it doesn't resonate with me that was such a pivotal moment until you bring it up, and I realized this was such a big deal in your journey, and this was something that, for one reason or another, it was kind of like a turning point for you, and you always bring it up as that, and I think that's awesome. Because I remember for a while, like, anytime I have a conflict with somebody, I'm like, it feels bad, like you don't want to have those kinds of interactions with people. But we forget that there's such an opportunity for growth whenever we have conflicts. So, for instance, sometimes Jen and I will have an argument about something. It doesn't happen often, but every once in a while it does. And at the end of them, like almost every time, I'm always like, I love when we argue or have a conflict about something. And it always feels like a weird thing to say, but it's awesome because those are the times where you learn a lot about one another. You learn a lot about yourselves, and you're challenged to make improvements in yourself and figure out, well, maybe not figure out, but like really be faced with how you come off to other people, like how you come across to other people. And I think most of the time it's like, if you're playing a video game about a situation, that's like your safe space, right? Like you're playing the game about something and you're like, oh, if I do this, then this thing happens. Thank God I'm not experiencing that in real life because it could blow up in my face and that would have lasting consequences. In our relationships and friendships and things like that, if we have an altercation or a fight or something, I think most of us are worried about like that fight being the end of the relationship. Like, that's it. We fought, we had this conflict, and it's done. There's no getting past that. I messed it up, and so because of that, we feel like there's so much risk. But when you've got relationships in your life, whether they're romantic or just friends or family, where you can have these conflicts, work through them, and then go past them, that's like your safe space. You know what I mean? Eagle, dude, what's up, man? Thank you for that sub love. 4 months, that is excellent. I appreciate that. How are you doing, Eagle? Welcome back to the fence. Yeah, man, and so having the ability to have a conflict and then know that it's gonna be okay because we can work through it and come out the other side of it, that is such an amazing opportunity. Like, think about it this way: you can get in a fight with somebody at work that you're acquainted with, and if you have that altercation because you're not connected in a like deeper or more meaningful way, that person's just gonna be like, I don't want to deal with you anymore, right? So you had the fight, and then that kind of is like, it's done, that relationship might not improve or go anywhere, not because it can't, but because the likelihood of them wanting it to improve is gonna be lower than if we got into an argument with somebody who really cares about us, or we've been through some things together, where they're like, this is just a conflict. This is just what's happening right now in the moment. This isn't the entirety of our relationship. Whereas when we have limited interaction with some people, when we have those conflicts, those end up being like really big events in those relationships that we haven't spent a lot of time or energy in. And so it feels a lot bigger. And because of that, I feel like it's perceived as encompassing a lot bigger part of that relationship as a result. So, you know, I think though, when we think of conflict, we think that that's how it's going to be everywhere. So it's, the point I'm trying to make is that it's okay to have conflicts. It's okay to have confrontations. I think confrontations are an important part of life. They are a meaningful part of life because the way that we approach conflict has a lot to do with our own growth, and it can provide a lot of opportunities for us. But because they're uncomfortable, we tend to shy away from them a lot of times. Maybe because we're not so good at them, or maybe because we've had really bad experiences with them in the past. No matter what the answer is, though, like Lost was saying earlier, practice makes perfect. Practice makes better. We can get better at those situations by exposing ourselves to them. Now, I'm not going to say go out and pick fights with people, because that's just counterintuitive. But if you find yourself in the situation where there's going to be a conflict, or there could be a conflict, it's okay. That's all I'm saying. Lucy, what's going on? How are you doing today? Hey, the Bad Mod's here. Taking a break from football, huh? Or are you in between games right now? I don't know how late they go on in the day. I feel like they're like all consuming forever when it's football season though. Lost said, me and one of my best friends, Jesse, get into arguments. And the next day we're just like, so we cool? Yeah, we cool. All right, let's go slap some scrubs in a game. That's healthy. That is totally fine. Reggie said, I don't know how to explain why it's one of those important things, or one of those things that's important part of life, but I feel like when we talked about it after I rejoined, it was like something I could reflect on in hindsight. And I learned more of what you were feeling or going through, and I feel like we were able to repair the fracture, and it helped me learn something important. If you haven't already... Oh, I'm at the end of chat now, so... Okay, what is the important thing that you learned from that then, Reggie? And thank you for sharing insight into why that was such a pivotal moment for you. Hey, you stranger! I disagree with you because I want to fight about it to improve myself. Lost is the guy who's just gonna go over to an Auntie Annie's pretzel shop and just like start bad mouthing the person in front of him in line because he doesn't agree with the way that they ask for their order, because he wants to improve himself. Don't do that. I'm just kidding, Lost. I wouldn't expect that of you. All right, overall, just feeling the vaccine kick my butt. Oh, no. Kick it back, Lucy. Kick it back. Man, you got your shot like 2 days ago, right? How's it hitting you right now? It's Raw. Welcome back home. It's good to see you today. How are you doing? Cloud said, "Football." Now it's NFL preseason at the moment, so it's not until late this month that it takes over my life. Oh, okay. So we're in the pre-life takeover. I was literally standing in the opening area of near Final Fantasy XIV raid when your live notification went off. You caught me off guard. Oh, forgot about time zones for a minute. You're thinking 5 o'clock my time. All right. Hashtag fight me, bro. Panda says, I want to be the best for my sibling. I want to be responsible, or be the responsible adult we didn't have growing up. So is this your response to the question of the day, Panda? If so, I love it. And thank you so much for sharing with us. So you want to be the best for your sibling. That's really important to you. And you want to be the responsible adult that you didn't have growing up. So you want to fill this role that you maybe didn't have while you were growing up. Can I ask, what is the significance of becoming this person to you? And do you feel like you're on your way to becoming that person? It was yesterday, Lucy. Oh, I'm sorry. I know I responded to it in the plaza yesterday. I think in my head I was like, she posted this yesterday though. So that's a me thing. You're doing okay, Isra. You're right there floating in the middle from the sounds of it, huh? Right on. Well, I'm glad you're not doing bad. But are you okay? Things could be better maybe? What's going on? I'm doing pretty well. Thank you for asking. Life is good. Life is going pretty good. The last week we've been able to attend this event called Music Fest out here in Bethlehem, PA, and it's awesome. It reminds me of like what the Balloon Fiesta was in Albuquerque, where like just tons of people from all over gathered to like watch balloons and see the pilots like take off, and it was kind of like a huge glorified state fair, but it was an international event. This is like it feels like it's almost of the same scale because it's spread out over like all of Main Street in this city that we live in, and like also down this main road that we just live up the street from. It's huge. It's sprawling, man. And there's so many, like, it's even bigger than that actually. There's so many tents and there's so many like food vendors and stages and bands and musicians that come to play, and people from all over the state and probably the surrounding areas, not just this state but the surrounding states, come to experience this. That goes on for like 10 days. It's awesome. It's so cool. So we've been dealing with the COVID thing, since, beginning of last year. And so obviously, as people who really enjoy live music, we've been struggling not getting our live music fix. And this is like a really cool way to sort of just like, boom, just dive right into all of it and just be surrounded by live music everywhere. And it's been a really fun experience. So we went in a couple days this week, and we went last night, and it was a pretty good time. Saw some cool people, man. You kicked major butt in that raid, Cloud? Hell yeah, man. High five. Finished in DPS higher than every other tank and healer as a white mage. Of course you did. That's like such a classic story from you as a white mage. Lost started playing the Nier mobile game. I hate myself for enjoying it. No, don't hate yourself. Lost, it's so good, man. It's so good. I just got to I'm in the middle of chapter 9 of the story right now. And oh, dude, it's so cool. That narrative is really, really good. And my mind is going bananas trying to figure out how to piece it together with the rest of the Nier timeline, because the way that they're approaching the story is like from two different angles. You've got like the angle of the present of what's going on with the main characters and in the cage, which is the setting of this game. But then you've got like all the memories that you're diving into throughout your journey of the cage too, which are real people's memories in the universe. So you're witnessing events that actually happened, and so there's just a lot of like puzzle pieces that you're trying to fit into place, and it's really fun. I love it. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Reggie said, I learned that you are the meanest person to... Oh, okay. I thought it was going to be a joke response at first, because I thought you were saying that I was the meanest person. I just wanted to let you know where my mind went right away. That's funny. That's not at all what Reggie is saying, everybody. Reggie is saying, I learned that you are the meanest person to yourself, and you can't take your assumption as reality, because if you do, you're holding yourself back from something because you try to talk yourself into a reality that you're forcing yourself to believe. Something will go that way and nothing else. Like you're pigeonholing yourself into an expectation, that this is the only thing that can happen. The worst case scenario is the only thing that can be, and you're not allowing yourself to see outside of that. Like tunnel vision. It's like if you're playing League of Legends and you like get the enemy AD carry down to like 100 HP, and you know they only need one more auto attack left to finish off, but they run into the middle of their team, and you're like, no, I'm gonna get them. I gotta take them out. And you walk in there, and they escape because they have a whole team backing them up, and you die, and you're like, oh! It's like that with what Reggie's saying, but emotionally. Don't tower dive your emotions. No, that's awesome though. That is a really valuable lesson to learn. You know, we are our worst enemies, right? It's really easy for us to shoot our own selves in the foot and to be the most critical of ourselves. And sometimes it's hard to think outside of our initial interpretation of something or a powerful assumption or fear that we have. So that's excellent. I'm glad that through that experience that we had together, that you were able to look beyond that. And I imagine that you're probably able to apply that in a lot of different areas of your life. Very valuable thing to learn. That's awesome. Reggie, your English is fine, man. You're doing great. Isra, the event was awesome. It's still going on this weekend. I think tomorrow was the last day of it. I could be wrong, but I think so. Yeah, I'm glad we got to go twice. I thought that we might only get to go one time, but last night was awesome. We ended up staying out until like 11 o'clock. Panda says, I feel like I've always been motherly, even at a young age, and I don't feel like it's a burden to take on the role. Though oftentimes, adulting is hard, but at the end of the day, I know what my sunshine is. Do you? What's your sunshine, Panda? I'm so curious. So you've always been a motherly kind of person, like a caring, caretaker kind of person. It sort of reminds me of, excuse me. I'm trying to remember if it's Taka or Haku. I think it's Taka. Who will come in here as the Longolian. That's their username. But they've been with us for a while, and they'll talk like how... I remember we had a question of the day one time, like maybe a year ago, where they were explaining that where they find their purpose and where meaning comes to them in life is through their ability to care for their sibling. And it's really important for them to be able to do that. And so that's who you're reminding me of right now, Panda. And I think that's really cool. I hope that you also practice a lot of self-care, because you're important too. You know, keeping yourself in tip-top shape, that's going to make you more well-equipped to be there for your sibling, which is a really virtuous thing. I think that's cool. Thank you for sharing, Panda. Isra says, I'm doing okay-ish. Stressed because I got a graduation project plus the summer semester, but I'm trying. Oh man, you got a lot on your plate. Isra, you are such a go-getter. You know, you're working through the summer semester, or not working through, but you're like attending class for the summer semester, and you have a grad project. So many people are like, it's summertime, I'm just gonna like chill, and that's awesome. I think that there's nothing wrong with that. I've never been that person though, so I'm always really impressed whenever somebody is like, I'm taking summer classes as well, and I'm just like, wow, like I feel like I would be so overwhelmed. It's cool that you're embracing that challenge. How do you think you're doing with it? I understand where your stress would be coming from though, for sure. Hang in there, you're gonna get through it. Don't give up. Pigeon and holes should never mix. They get stuck. Yeah. Oh man. Jen says, unrelated, but I always thought the phrase was pigeon holding. Like, if you hold your pigeons, they can't fly and experience new things. I mean, that works too. You need to let your pigeons go. Let them go. Stop suffocating them. Let them fly into holes, okay? Oh, that's funny. Let my pigeons go! Let them go! If you guys are just coming in, welcome to The Fence. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We've been live now for about an hour. We've been talking about the question of the day, which we always have a new question of the day every single time we're live on Fence TV. So if that's your thing and you like to participate in meaningful discussion, share your story and be part of ours, come hang out with us once a week. Today we're talking about what kind of person do you want to be and why? And if you already are who you want to be, what's one piece of advice that you can offer? We'd love to hear your thoughts today. Danavan, what's up, dude? Long time no see. It's great to see you. How the heck are you? It's summertime. Let's go to work. That's how I've always been. Really? Really? That's just normal day-to-day life for you then, huh? Or I guess year-to-year life for you. Respect, Danavan. Respect. Isra says, this is my first time taking summer semester. It's only one subject, and I'm in a group with friends, so I'm doing okay. But graduation project's stressful because I have to learn so much to make it happen. Really? Well, okay, so I'm glad that at least one of those things is a team effort. So you guys can kind of like lean on each other a little bit to help each other out. And, you know, if one of you gets stuck somewhere, then there's, you know, the rest of you guys that can, you know, help encourage one another and keep each other moving forward. But this graduation project, that sounds tough. What is your graduation project, if I may ask? CJ says, I've just been sitting here lurking and building a Minecraft house, but some of these things low-key make my soul shed a tear. Oh, CJ, that's just the Fence experience. That's what you've wandered into ever since you came to this community. I'm glad you're here. Also, I hope that your Minecraft house is turning out amazing. Hydration time, huh? Everybody, grab some wagwa. If you don't already have something to drink, it's good to stay hydrated. All right? We'll be having an intermission later on in the show where you guys have some extra time to get up and stretch your legs and grab a drink or something like that. But don't let me stop you just because you got some FOMO going on. We'll be here for several hours. So if you need to get up and, you know, just step away for a little bit, get some refreshments, please do so. Take care of yourselves. I did not realize that there were new universal Twitch emotes. That's cool. Look at the sword. That's awesome. That's like a Gundam beam saber or something. That's wicked. What? Are those? It's Mercy. Dude, cool. I didn't even know we had these. I love it. So cool. Oh shit, what's going on? Welcome back home. How are you doing? Listen, Mercy's new to me, okay? Brand new to me. I did not know that we had Mercy emotes for that long. House is coming along for the most part, says CJ. Good deal, man. Glad to hear it. Oh, man. CJ, I'm still thinking about that talk that we had yesterday, man. That was so cool. I'm really glad that we got to hook up and talk a little bit about things. I'm still like super impressed with your game too. When we were on our way to Music Fest yesterday, I was telling Jen all about it, and I was like, it's so cool. He did this in like 8 weeks. It's amazing. It was very cool stuff. Also, she is a super huge fan of tiny houses, and I didn't know that. Tiny homes. I didn't even know what those were until you were telling me about them. But she loves them. So she's in full support of, you know, your endeavors as well. So speaking of emotes, since we brought them up earlier, we have a new emote coming. All right, we have a new Fence T Love coming. So right now, our Fence T Love emote is down. So if you guys have been trying to use it at all during the stream, it's down. We've removed it for now because we're replacing it with an updated emote. It is in the process of being approved. So maybe it'll go live by the end of this stream. We'll have to see. We're keeping tabs on it. But if it doesn't, then it will be available next stream. So look forward to that. We've also got 3 more emotes that are getting ready to come out too. So all you subs out there will have some new toys to play with. So look forward to it. Thank you guys for all your support. Appreciate it. And the person who is designing all of these emotes for us is our lovely Faintest of Hearts. So we'll have her to thank whenever we can see these things. I'm pretty excited. They look really good. That was a good audio level. What was? What was good audio? Isra says, I'm not stressing too much about summer semester. We can make anything for a grad project, but we didn't have time to come up with ideas. Oh, okay. Ours is a social app where you can connect with people easier. It makes chatting easier and all, and it also has VR, which I'm working on right now. What? No way. Fantastic. Oh, I see. Yeah, our sound effects all got balanced out now. Oh my god, that was funny. That grad project
May
idea.
your heart be your guiding key.
That sounds so cool. That's exciting. The VR, like how does the VR work with it? Yay! You got grounded, Hoshi? Oh no! Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. What happened? I'm doing good, Hoshi. Doing good. Hanging out with some of my favorite people. Been enjoying some live music throughout this week because Music Fest's been happening out here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Super cool event. It's like a 10-day long event where a bunch of bands and musicians come out to perform and everybody in the surrounding area comes to enjoy it. It takes up like a good half of the city. It's pretty cool. Kind of taken aback about how we share such similar interests. It's kind of crazy to me. CJ, just embrace it, man. Just bring it in. Just bring it in. Right? It's really cool. Yeah, it's kind of hard to like meet a person that you feel like has a lot of similarities, right? Like sometimes you meet somebody who has several similarities, but most of the time I think that we meet people who have like 1 or 2, which is cool. That's fine. But it definitely stands out whenever you meet people that like are on the same page as you, and it is really cool. It's exciting on my end too. I think it's awesome. Big thanks to Lost for introducing you into the community. Danavan says, yeah, well, my parents have always owned a business, so very used to a good work ethic and going to work or summer camp on vacation. I made my choice well. You made your choice well. Wait, so what, does that to say that you are working for your family business now, or have you always worked for your business? I guess I'm confused on what the choice was here. Pardon me. Yeah, no sub emote for now, Mashi. Don't worry though. Don't worry, they'll be back. That sound balancing came out perfect. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. You have no idea how happy I am to hear that, chat. It is the best. I worked for 8 hours on the sound to make it better. Because ever since we got the new computer and ever since we got the new apartment and everything, I've been trying to get to a position where I had the time and the energy to get the sound back to what it was before we moved into this apartment even, but without the bugs. And I haven't had to squash a single bug yet since the stream started, aside from me accidentally having my own stream up on my web browser, which that's a personal error. That's not a bug. So, that's very exciting to hear. All that hard work paid off. It's great. Happy times. You got grounded because of something super dumb? Like, was it really super dumb? Was it out there fighting crime with how dumb it was? Or what? Well, it's not really grounded, Hoshi continues. I can use my computer and stuff, just can't have my phone, and I can't play games like my Switch and stuff. Oh no! You don't have your phone and you can't play games? What's gonna happen with Hourha during this time? That's like a huge blow for you, I feel like. I'm sorry to hear that. Multimedia or IRL pics? Where do mug pics belong if they weren't taken by me? Mug pics? I'm not entirely sure what you mean. Isra said the VR part's going to be an environment where you can present yourself to a room of people like avatars so you can practice presenting without getting stressed or nervous. That's awesome. So is it going to work with like all VR headsets? Are you trying to make it like compatible with the majority of them that are out there? That's so cool, man. I have been excited for technology like that for a long time. And I know that it's been like people have been talking about doing it for a long time too. Like Facebook and Microsoft were working on something like that, right? I love the idea of multiple versions of these types of things coming out though, because then, you know, you remember whenever we had like all these different chat applications coming up, like your Skypes and your TeamSpeaks and like your MSN and Facebook messengers and like Yahoo and like all this stuff before like Discord really like just took all of that and was just like, we're gonna be the best. When all that stuff was coming out, it was exciting. And you know, it kind of like created a lot of these different competitive spaces in that market. But I think that us as people who were just using that stuff, the idea that we had a lot of options, or we were discovering different applications that let us express ourselves in different ways, was really fun. And it sounds to me like you're gonna be a part of that with this, and that's awesome. What a cool grad project. Benny the Spaceman, what's going on? Welcome back to the fence. How are you doing today? Hourha's still up and running. Good. Okay, cool. I was concerned when you said that, man. CJ, you gotta bounce, man? All right. Gotta do some cleaning before you start your stream later. Sounds good, buddy. Good luck on your stream. And thank you so much for hanging out with us here today while you were building your Minecraft house. Enjoy your stream. Have a wonderful rest of your night and keep your head up and your heart strong out there. Also, can we get a caster command in the chat, please, for Competent Juggernaut? You guys go check his stream out and show him some LLG love and support. Thank you very much, Lost. Danavan said, nah, just always working was my choice. Oh, just always working. My choice was to go to work over the summer rather than go to camp. Oh, okay. Cool. Well, good choice, man. I'm glad that you're satisfied with it. What kind of camp were you thinking about going to, by the way? Just out of curiosity. Camp was fun and all, but the money was more versatile. Yeah. Got more potential, right? You could do something else with it down the road. I will say this, though. I've only gone to camp a couple times in my whole life. And I went to a music camp once whenever I was in middle school. It was my 8th grade year. Or I guess the summer between my 8th grade year and my freshman year of high school. And that was one of the best experiences that I ever had. I met really cool people. I can totally see where I grew as a person. And because of the nature of it, like it was a music camp where I was in an orchestra for a year beforehand, and I was getting ready to go into high school, which they had an advanced orchestra that was, you know, much more skilled. And I was very concerned about not being able to keep up with them because I had just learned basics over the last school year. And in this music camp, I really got to buckle down and work like one-on-one with an instructor who ended up being my high school orchestra instructor, which that was really cool. Her name was Miss Klein, and she was phenomenal. I learned so much during that music camp and got so much better at my instrument, and was able to keep up with everybody else whenever I got to high school the next year or the next semester. But also, it was just a fun experience all around. Like, I remember having a good time. I did some dumb stuff, like I messed up my ankle real bad, I remember, and that wasn't good. And then there was like a moonlight hike that was supposed to happen that night, and I decided to just go on it, And by the end of that moonlight hike, like my ankle was so swelled up and it was like purple. And that purple was spreading like down to my foot. And I was like, oh my God, this looks terrible. I wasn't able to walk without assistance for like a couple days after that. And it was because we were playing a game of tag. And I decided to jump off the roof of this shed because I was like, it's not very high up. And the only reason we could get on the roof of the shed was because like it was behind a band shell, and the band shell had like this hill that went up behind it. So you could run up the hill, but the shed was like here, butted up against that hill. And there was like a road that would come down and around the front of it. So where the roof of the shed met the hill, you could just like run down the hill onto the roof of the shed, right? I was running for somebody and I was like, I have no way out. They're gonna get me. So I was just like, I'll just jump off. And that's what I did. And it was a longer fall than I expected, and it was gravelly. So I slipped and then twisted my ankle at the same time. And then I got back up and kept running because I was full of adrenaline, and that made it worse. So that was dumb, but it was pretty fun still. Benny the Spaceman says, for the past 2 weeks, I had crazy experiences with music. Like, it made me super calm and relaxed. I was able to just enjoy the moment, you know? Really? That's excellent, Benny. I love to hear that. It sounds to me like music was just bringing you some peace during this time. What kind of music were you listening to? That's awesome. That's one of the things I love so much about music, because it's one of those things that I can just get into. Like, I can do nothing else, just sit down and put some headphones on, listen to music, or turn it up loud on the speaker, whatever, and just get lost in it. And I think it's a great way to explore yourself and just to, to feel. There's a lot of feelings and emotions in music. Oh, she says, Seeds and everyone else are working together to keep the guild up and running. All right. So awesome to hear that Seeds is still around, man. That's so cool. Only for Google Cardboard and Android, Isra says, referring to her graduation project. It's actually pretty easy to make, and it's fun to work with. Okay. Google Cardboard on Android, though, that's a pretty accessible one, right? Like, a lot of people could easily just, like, jump into that, it sounds like. I mean, that's kind of cool. I don't know anything about development. Like, if you're thinking about it beyond that, would adapting that type of VR experience to a more like native kind of VR headset be easy or complicated? Yeah, your professors have been tough with you. Well, you know what? That sounds like that they're being good professors then in that regard. They're supposed to push you and challenge you, you know? Although, I remember being in school and having those types of instructors was always challenging. The orchestra instructor that I told you guys about earlier, she was really tough on me. And we butt heads a lot. But because of the way that she approached her instruction, I grew a lot and I learned really fast. So looking back on it, I'm super thankful for her influence. Cloud's going to get some dinner. All right. Yeah, we're having busy times over here, Hoshi. I cannot wait to move house. It's gonna be so cool. It's gonna be so cool. Hopefully, we can set it up right and time everything right where I won't have to miss a stream in the middle of the week. And then we can just sort of like, I can showcase a little bit of like our new space. And that'll be fun. But we'll have to see. I'll keep y'all posted. We'll be very careful, Hoshi. Thank you. Yin, what's going on? Welcome back to the fence. It was soft rock and rap. Nice, man. That's a cool experience from what you've described, Benny. I'm glad that you were able to have it. Have you ever had an experience like that with music before, or was this like a first-time thing? And a couple cheesy love songs. I love it. Nothing wrong with cheesy love songs. Some of my favorite music is cheesy love songs. Isra says, To be honest, I'm not sure, but Unity allows you to play it on any headset. You just need to set it up the right way. Okay, that's cool. Man, Unity's awesome. I've seen people developing with Unity for like the last, I don't know, 7, 8 years. And it seems like it's really user friendly. I think my mom forgot I had my iPad so I can play Xeno and Epic 7 at night. This reminds me of when I'd get grounded whenever I was in high school and I had a Nintendo Wii. I wasn't allowed to use my computer because I was spending too much time online. And I was like, the Nintendo Wii has a web browser. So I would just be like on all my favorite social media websites on my Nintendo Wii. And I thought I was so clever. I was like, I'm so smart. My mom will never know. She'd never suspect the Nintendo to allow me to break her rules. And I can't remember if she caught me on it or not. I feel like yes, but I'm not positive. Oh, speak of the mom. There she is. Hey, Mom. How are you doing today? Not able to pull the fast one on you today, I see. Oh, no. Oh, man. Yeah, that music camp was awesome. It was such a good time. There was a lot of cool things that happened there, actually. And I remember one of them. So I'm not a dancer. I don't really do that. I've had a few times in my life where I have like been able to just like enjoy the experience, and at that music camp was one of them. They had like this big party the night before the last day of camp, and in the band shell they had like a stage, and the stage was set up so that people could come up and like dance on the stage. And then a bunch of people were like dancing on the floor in front of the stage. Music was playing, there was food and stuff like that. You could think of it like I don't know, like I guess like a dance event at school, like at high school or something, like a prom or a winter ball or something like that. And I remember a couple of the friends that I had made there, they really liked dancing. And I feel like this guy's name was Sean, and then there was this girl, Genevieve. And they were like, let's go up on the stage. And I was like, no way. And they were like, come on. Eventually they convinced me to do it. So we went up there, and they have like the spotlight and everything on you, so you know, no pressure or anything. But we just had a good time. We just danced. And I remember that being like one of the most like I just sort of let go. If there was a way to put that feeling into words, just let go. Danced, had a fun time, jumped off the stage, went and got some food, you know? Never done that since, never did it before. But I remember that was just like a really cool moment. And it was another awesome experience that I got to have at that music camp. That was like one of the best things I ever did when I was in high school. That was a good time. That's like right up there with going on vacation to Hawaii. It was great. First time I'm using Unity, says Isra, and I'm surprised it's not too difficult to learn and work with. That's awesome. Its reputation precedes it. Speak her name and she shall appear. Mom! Finally unpacking the office and listening to my favorite streamer. Ah, you're too kind. You're too kind. Mom might be a little bit biased, but it's appreciated bias. Nonetheless, you're unpacking the office? Like at home or what? Moms always have a way of getting you when you think you're being sneaky. This is the truth. It is. It's the mom superpower. Much like fathers can tell when you touch the thermostat. Who touched the thermostat? Peter, my thing went off. Your thermostat okay? Oh, man. Only if coding wasn't so difficult and scary. Man, how long have you been coding, Miss Raw? I don't know the first thing about it. I've never done coding, but I feel like it's a really useful skill to have nowadays. I feel like I'm shooting myself in the foot by not coding. What does this say? Young Finn still can't outwit his mom. Cloud, how dare you immortalize this moment? That's a good clip. Pop it up in the Discord. Bias is mom's sacred duty. Is that true? Is that true? When you move, don't take 3 months to unpack. You can't tell me how to live my life, Mom. All right? I'm a grown-up adulter person now. Wait, no, adult person, not the gross thing. Oh God. Are we rolling? Okay. No, I think that whenever I moved into my apartment in Albuquerque, there was stuff that I didn't unpack for like the entire time that I was there. It just stayed in my closet. And I was there for like 2 years or something like that. Oh wait, maybe it wasn't that long. It was only like a year and a half. I don't know. It was a while ago now. Yeah, who needs to unpack? Just sleep on the floor with a blanket and live off of yakisoba. That's life. That's living life right there. Your boxes are still in the basement, Mashi? Nice. Nice. You're living the fence example right there. Unpacking is a job for a house therapist, in my opinion. Wait, what is this house therapist you speak of? Above my pay grade. Oh, man. Mom, I would never ignore you. Just for the record. All right? Free or otherwise. Isra, you've learned to code since high school. Okay, but you don't 100% understand it like other computer science students. I still struggle with it. Like, what's the hardest part about understanding coding to you? And if that's too big of a question, then you don't have to answer it. Because I imagine coding's pretty extensive. But just out of curiosity, like, what is so challenging about it? I always looked at it as like having to memorize a bunch of formulas and stuff, which made it like akin to math for me. And I don't math. I mean, I can math a little bit, but I don't like to math. Aside from like well, okay, I say that, I'm okay at math. Like I can do a lot of arithmetic and stuff like that in my head, and any everyday situation where I need to apply math, even some algebra, I can do mostly mentally, but you start getting into anything like intermediate and advanced, and I start to crumble. Back in that bag, that's right. Yen says, sleeping on the floor is actually quite comfy. Also, I answered the question of the day just in case you didn't notice. I didn't. I'm so sorry. Feel free to repost if you don't mind. Actually, maybe it already got put into the Keeper's Camp. Here, let me double check. Yep, Lost got it. So, Yen answered the question of the day saying, another heavy question, huh? Sometimes we have them, yeah. Honestly, I just want to be the type of person when I'm on my deathbed, say, I lived my life, or I lived a life I'm satisfied with. I've got no one way I want to be as a person because I'm just me, because I'm still young. The journey will change me, and I'll let those who knew me determine the type of person that I was to them. I love the way you worded this response, Yen. It's so cool. It's so aware that, one, we are like amorphic. We evolve throughout our life, and the older we get and the more things happen in our lives and the more things we experience, the more we change. And you've embraced that. And then also to take note of, people around you determining the type of person that you are to them, not letting what they perceive of you define you, but understanding that their perception is their truth of who you are. It's really cool. I love this response. Thank you so much for sharing. I like that. That's simple. That allows you to go through your journey without so many expectations and pressure put upon yourself. which probably allows you to be a lot kinder to yourself throughout your life as well. If the kind of person you want to be is the kind of person who at the end, you can look back at your life and be like, I'm satisfied with this life that I lived. That's amazing. That is simpler than the way I live my life. That's not a bad thing. A simple's not a bad thing. And that's something that I'm in a way kind of envious of, because I put so many expectations in my life on myself. And you know, I'm a person who I am satisfied with who I am. Like, I love who I am, but you know, it's not been a simple conclusion to come to. And I wouldn't say that my day-to-day life is spent feeling like I can just be laid back about it. And it sounds like you've found a lot of peace within yourself to be able to just let yourself be. And that's amazing to me. I love that. Kind to myself, nah, my brain attacks itself too often. Well, but what do you consciously do to respond to those attacks? We can't control our thoughts, right? We can't. Like, we can control, like, how we respond to them, but I don't think any of us sit there and we're just like, think this thought, and then we do it, you know? Like, they come to us. So that's okay. Like, that's just your brain doing its thing. How do you respond to it, though? That's the important part. Sleeping on the floor is comfy. Comfy? Comfy, says Hoshi. But to be fair, I have a carpet, so I'm not sleeping on a hard floor. Dude, I can't even sleep on carpet floor anymore. I'm getting old. I guess I had to draw the line at sleeping on the floor at like 25. My back started hurting way too much. $100 an hour to unpack? That's money right there. Take her up on that offer. Hoshi, I will take a few years to unpack your stuff at that price. You may be happy to know I spent all night playing Ratchet and Clank. No way. That's awesome. It sounds like you had a good time with it then. I have to tell you a story about that copy of Ratchet and Clank, by the way, because I think it's cool. Miles and I went to the mall that one day, you know, the day where I was like, we don't know what to do, so let's go to the mall as 29 and 31-year-old grown men. And we're wandering around the mall. I went to this GameStop, and I found Ratchet and Clank, and I was like, cool, I'm gonna buy a Ratchet and Clank. And it was hard to find on the shelf. There was only one copy of it, and it was like tucked away in the used section somewhere. And I go to the counter to check out, and the girl behind the counter is just like, you know, doing her normal GameStop spiel, asking me about membership and adding protection policies and all this. And I'm like, no, I don't need to do all that. Thank you, though. And she's like, this is a great game. And I was like, I know, I love Ratchet and Clank. I'm getting it for a family member. And she was like, oh, she's like, I actually just brought this is my copy of Ratchet and Clank that I just brought into the store this morning before my shift, because I got it for free on the PlayStation Plus collection because they have it there now. So I was like, oh, I guess I don't need the hard copy version of it anymore. And I was like, you just brought this in today? She was like, yeah. I was like, that's awesome. Right on. I was like, thank you. And I thought that was really cool, kind of a neat coincidence. So there you go. Now you have a story to go along with your copy of Ratchet and Clank, Mom. Amorphic is a good word. It's one of my favorites. Yeah. Glad we're in agreement there. Miles has undercover superpowers. You be sure to tell him that. If I thought he might have been here today, but I guess he might be working or something like that. Otherwise, I would say you could tell him yourself. Wait, I'm missing some context here. Mom said, we totally are. What's cool, though, is that we know our kiddos do the same for us. You guys teach us as much as we do you. Say what? Say what? Here you go. Live footage of a mom saying that their children also teach them things. All right, it's real. Okay? It can happen. Isra says, everything about coding is challenging, huh? Especially the errors. They're endless. I think what overwhelms me with it is how complex it can be. I can't do so much math too. It does require a bit of math. Okay. Man. Yeah, so Jen for a while was learning some coding languages and stuff, and when I would watch her work, I would see a little bit about how, like, if you were doing something in your code and you messed a line of code up, it could affect so many different things, especially as you were layering things on top of each other to interact with one another. And the complex nature of that meant that troubleshooting, if you put in a code, like some code wrong, or there was an error somewhere, or you have to do bug fixes, was like this long and extensive process. And so a lot of coding seemed to also be, like, an important part of coding seemed to be planning ahead in the event that you came across errors to make it easier for you to be able to do the troubleshooting process that was more than likely inevitable. So I'm very impressed with all you guys and gals out there who have figured out how to do this. And anybody who is trying to do this, like Isra, I'm proud of you for taking the approach that you are to tackle this challenge, because it looked really complicated. So I think I understand a little bit of where you're coming from, Isra. They're not bugs, they're features. Aw. Hoshi, I would absolutely recommend letting your mom know that you appreciate what she does for you. It's so, as a person who also has a mom, looking back, I don't know that I always took enough time to say things like that. I think I did say things like that, but I probably could have taken more time to say things like that. And I know for a fact that it makes a lot of difference. I know that because even now, whenever I take some time to just let my mom know how, I feel about her impact in my life or what I see her doing, she lets me know how much that means to her. So, it's a good thing. We take our parents for granted a lot of times. And I know that not all parents are the same, and some of us may not have the greatest of parents or whatever, but I think that if your parent is a person who does something for you that you can appreciate, it's great to share that appreciation, because something that I've learned is that parents are going through a lot, and they're doing their best to be good parents and also be responsible adults. And they don't have everything figured out the way that we think they do as kids. We think adults have so much figured out and answers for things, and like life is simpler or something for them. The older I get, the more I realize that you never really have it all figured out. Nobody. No one does. Everybody's trying their best, including our parents. So it absolutely makes a difference whenever you go out of your way to be like, hey mom, hey dad, I really appreciate what you're doing. And just wanted to let you know. I think that has a lot of impact on them. See? Mom says 48 and still saying thanks or apologizing for teen years. Everything's great. You don't have to apologize for anything, okay? I got the best mom ever. How dare you think that you did a bad job in any capacity? I'll defend you to the end. 4 a.m. Miles is Silent Bob. Yeah, and that somehow Silent Bob causes me to make the most noise ever. I was always the loudest person in the house if he was around. Ratchet and Clank is goated 100. Yes, it's so awesome. Especially the new one, man. They did heck a good job with that one. Lost said, I watched my buddy CJ play the entire series of Ratchet and Clank because he loves that series so much. And when he plays it, you can hear the pure joy in his voice. Excellent. Excellent. There are just fun games, man. They're so charming. The characters are great. The world settings are always good. And the plots, while never deep, are always just a good time, you know? Your dad only taught you how to be a troublemaker. Well, thank him for showing you a perspective on mischief that you might not have had without it. Don't make too much trouble now. Jen says, my problem with coding was always I would get involved with the project and forget to check for bugs systematically as you go through. It's way harder to pinpoint issues when you have a butt ton of code. Yeah, I can imagine. Having to swim through all of that to figure out what the problem lies. Like, oh my gosh. Yen, you've recently been playing Final Fantasy 15 and you forgot how thirsty you are for a main crew of boys. Oh man. Listen, they are handsome gentlemen, okay? I understand. I've been wanting to play Final Fantasy 15 again, actually, recently. Especially now with like that it's all completed in like a nice, like bugless package. All the DLCs there, and you can just play it all like in a good sequence. You don't have to wait for certain parts of the story like you did whenever it was at launch. I kind of want to have that experience with it. Not that I didn't enjoy it the first time around, but it definitely had a lot of issues, or a lot of things that I took issue with, despite enjoying it as much as I did. I tell you what, Mashi, I don't remember the first 6 years of my life completely either. There's a lot of things that I forgot. There's a couple things I remember. There's a lot more I don't. You're not alone there. Yeah, and I'm sorry to hear that you don't have the greatest of trust for your mother. That's a bummer. And sometimes these things happen, you know? That's why I say not all parents are the same. Not everyone's relationship with their parents is the same. So, you know, take what I say with a grain of salt. I'm glad to hear that you're fairly close with your dad still, though. That's excellent. You know, that's something that I don't understand because I never had a relationship with my father. And it's something I made my peace with years and years ago, but it used to tear me up, you know? Not having like a certain level, like certain type of parental input was something that it always had an impact on me. Not to say that I didn't have great father figures. And my grandpa's amazing. And he was basically my dad through my whole life, and I still kind of look at him as such. And I get to look at him as like a really close friend now too, which is really cool. And he's my grandpa, so there's a lot of different dynamics at play there with him. But you know, it was still one of those things that, like, even having that, you know, not having my dad around was something that there was this weird like void that I always felt like needed to be filled. Until I had the opportunity to bring him into my life, and I was like, I don't want this person in my life. So I was like, then after that, I was like, I'm okay with it, you know? I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything. I think that things were exactly as they should have been. And this is the nice thing that you can get sometimes when you look at things in hindsight. Sometimes it's just about getting through the now so that you can appreciate things for what they are. I did unfriend my mom on MySpace. That's a true story. But not on Facebook. So. Oh man, MySpace. That's a throwback right there. You're not a bad child, Hoshi. You're not a bad child. You're a teenager. All right? You're doing teenager things. You're living life normally, in my opinion, from what I've experienced, of the things that you've shared with us anyway. You're not a bad child, dude. Yeah. Yep. What Mom says is true. It takes work on both sides, but it's always worth it. If you're working at it, it can always be a rewarding thing. It's not easy to have good relationships with your parents. You know, there's a lot of things that can kind of come up as hurdles and barriers that get in the way of that, right? So whenever you're able to like jump over some of those things and meet in the middle, it's really cool, because I think the odds are stacked against you a lot of times in that dynamic, at least when you're younger. As you get older and get to the world of adulthood, I think it becomes easier to relate to your parents and understand things that they're doing. But before then, it's hard just because you don't have the perspective, you know? So it's cool whenever, you know, parents and kids make that effort to work to try and come together. Poll: should kids be able to unfriend their mom on MySpace on their Wii? Still imagining Vince reordering his top 10 friends with the Wiimote. Listen, I did that. I actually did that. Imagine trying to type on your Wii without a keyboard too. I also did that. I was also very active on the platform Gaia Online at that time, and I sent lots of messages on that platform and even made edits to my profile with a Wiimote. And it was a much more convoluted process than it needed to be. I probably took 4 times as long to do any of those things I just listed than it would have taken me to do it on my computer. Which begs the question, why am I spending my time in such a wasteful way? Because it was important to me, okay? We'll answer that question. It was important to me to interact with my friends and express myself still, even if it was a pain in the butt to do so. Stay thirsty, my friends. That is not what that means. No, it's not. Or is it? It could mean both, Lost. It could mean both. Prompto, the sweet kind boy. Iggy, the food daddy. Noct, the emo daddy. And Gladdy is just daddy. He's the Gladdy daddy. It's hard for me to imagine Noct as any kind of daddy, to be perfectly honest. But the rest of that statement I think is pretty on point. Agent Pie, what's up, man? I saw you come in earlier and I didn't get to acknowledge you, and I'm so sorry. But welcome back. It's good to see you here. If you go through Final Fantasy 15 again, could also get a group together to go through the multiplayer story too. I never experienced the Comrades story. That would be really cool, actually. Oh, there's a cure. Say what? Oh no. You needed a cure after all them bops and slaps. I like that emote, the RPG 7. Pixel art. I have a soft spot in my heart for pixel art. I don't know why that tickled me so much. The comment from Hoshi, she can't dominate my life once I turn 18 in a few months. Then I'm not gonna know what to do. I don't know how to pay bills and I haven't gotten a job. Like the dismount to that from the beginning, the first sentence to the last sentence. I love that progression. She can't dominate my life, and also I don't know how to be a person outside of being under the influence of my mom. Sends mixed signals there. That's funny. All right, my friends, guess what time it is? We have had one of the coolest discussions that we've had here in a while. We've been live for about an hour and 45 minutes. And it's business time.
That's what you're trying to say. You're trying to say, let's
Get down to business, it's business time. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. Having a great time so far. When we get into the gameplay, of course, you can still answer the question of the day. Our moderators will keep track of those questions. If I don't get to them right away, I will get to them later on in the show. All right. If you want to pull up the QOD in the chat, you can type in !QOD, and our super fence bot will pop up today's question so that you can take a good look at it. All right. All right, let's get rolling with some video games, everybody.